On this Gun Talk Nation, we head out to Arizona to see Timney Triggers. We're talking with James and Alex. They know a lot about triggers, but also we get into some fun stories about working at a gun store and advice on doing your builds. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by ArmsCore, Silencer Central, Silence Delivered, Franklin Armory, and Fax and Firearms, the Fellowship of Firearms. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we're on location. We are in Phoenix, Arizona, and we're at Timney Triggers. And today I've got James and Alex with me. Welcome in, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So you guys work with Timney, and our buddy said you should talk to James and Alex because you're the ones that are, you're in new positions here, which is interesting, that are all about talking with the customers, right? Or what would you, how do you describe the gig?
Yeah, so it's a new position that we developed here. It's referred to as digital engagement.
Okay.
But it kind of encompasses a lot of stuff. It's kind of a generalization, but from tech support to social media to just kind of discussing with customers our culture and our values, as well as our products.
So you guys are like, you're the Timney answer man.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah, we get customers that reach out via phone, technical support, live chat now. We also engage in social media platforms, and we're going to be looking to expand those too, with like TikTok, of course.
Oh gosh.
Yep.
Dangerous. Dangerous. So what you're saying is, if people are having questions or trouble like installing a trigger, they could call you.
Yep.
Or text or whatever, like reach out on social media and you guys would be answering them?
Yeah, pretty much. Any channel that you can think of, we're available through. So we manage all those different channels. So whether it's a question about a trigger, whether it's installing it, or you just need steered in the right direction, or if you just want to, talk about triggers in general, we're available, and it's across all those different channels.
Okay, so James, you're pretty new here. You're like 90 days in.
Yeah, I think it's my 93rd day as we speak. So,
but you're not new to guns or the gun world. I mean, you've been in the industry. You've done a bunch of different stuff with guns.
Yeah. I started off at Rainier Arms in their shipping department. Then I moved up to their gunsmithing, and that's more or less where I got most of my experience as far as being inside the industry. Worked with a guy named Rob and Luis. So those are two great mentors I had in gunsmithing. And then I went off and worked at Fortis Manufacturing, had a federal job after that, working on weapons like crew serve, small arms. Yeah.
Fun.
And then my family moved from Washington State down to Arizona, and I submitted my resume for a gunsmithing job here, and that was filled. But then Chris said, "Hey, hold off. I want to get an interview with you."
Yeah.
So
I mean, this place, it has a different type of culture and a different type of vibe. Talk about that.
It really does, and having worked a lot of different jobs in several different jobs in this industry, I can definitely attest to that. That's what kind of lured me over here, to be honest with you. I had some coworkers who worked with me at a prior job that came over here and kind of informed me about that culture, but it's unlike anywhere that I've ever worked. We use a method called the collaborative way, and there's kind of 5 pillars of that. And really, one of the biggest ones is being for each other. So everyone looks out for each other. It's a really big family, and we actually refer to ourselves as a tribe.
Okay.
And that's a really big thing that we do every single day, and everybody takes it very seriously. It's not just something that's on paper. It's how we do our jobs, and also too how we interact with our customers. We really want all of our customers to be a part of that tribe, and that's a big part of our position, is trying to convey that culture and then bring people into it. So it's not just about technical questions. It's about building that family.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting walking around here, and you can kind of sense that everybody's on this team and everybody's rowing in the same direction to make things happen. But let's talk about triggers. I mean, we're here at Timney Triggers. What are you guys hear from the customers? What are the FAQs? What are the these questions that people seem to always ask about? Is it installation, or what is it that they ask about?
It's a good combination of installation or compatibility. with Mausers, there's so many different Mausers out there. So we get customers asking, hey, is this going to work in my Mauser?
Mhm.
And if we don't know the answer, we'll do our due diligence and do the research and give them that answer.
You probably have to do a little detective work,
Yeah.
right? Because you have to ask them to give you more information about their gun, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Most likely it ends up with us asking for photos.
Yeah.
Get photos and we get them on the phone and really figure out what they really have.
Is there a particular gun that seems to be the one that people are always working on lately? Are you hearing, is there kind of a hot one right now?
Let's say Glocks.
Yeah.
Glocks and the Ruger Precisions
Oh,
are
yeah,
a big
the
one as far
RPRs.
as just really popular platforms that are out there. You know, they're affordable, they're good platforms, and especially Glock, you know, it's kind of well known for leaving a little bit to be desired as far as the trigger goes. So
Yeah.
it's one of the top modifications, I think.
Yeah, the Alpha competition is a serious upgrade.
It is
for that platform.
It is. It definitely feels a lot better than the stock trigger.
Yeah. All right, so which trigger do you think is the easiest for someone to install that you've dealt with?
I would say our AR triggers, you know, our AR to competition triggers,
Yeah.
they truly are a drop-in trigger. There's a couple set screws, and pretty much it's a plug and play.
Yeah. A caveman can do it.
Yeah.
All right, which one is the most challenging one?
Oh,
Because, I mean, the problem is, you guys, Timney wants to make it easy to install, but you're working within whatever gun is out there. So it's not like the gun manufacturer's priority was to make aftermarket triggers easy to install, right?
No, not at all. And I think probably going back to the Mauser, there's a couple different models of the Ruger, but the Mauser, just because of the amount of variations, and depending on what stock it's in, some inletting, you know, some fitment can be required, and it's not always the same. It's kind of case by case. So sometimes there'll be a lot of back and forth on that, but you know, it's such a significant upgrade. I think it's worth it. It just takes a little bit of fine tuning.
Yeah. Now, Alex, you worked at a gun store for a number of years, and I always say people who work at gun stores have all the stories. Like you guys see the public, any walk of life. I mean, are there ones that come to mind that was like, you won't believe this crap?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely gun etiquette's a big one because, you know, people have firearms that don't necessarily have the training or the etiquette. And it's, you know, your job to educate them on that, but it can lead to some sketchy situations where, you know, you got to maintain safety of not only yourself and your employees, but the people around you, your customers, you know, other customers in the building. So
what's the weirdest thing that somebody brings in a gun they have a problem with? What's the weirdest thing that someone has, I guess, done to a gun? Or
a couple that stand out, it's pretty simple, but I've only seen it a couple times, is people bringing in firearms with like a pistol with the round completely backwards, casing first into the barrel, completely jammed.
Really?
Yeah.
They were
live
able to
round.
get...
They were able to actually jam the casing into the barrel to where I couldn't get it out with a pair of pliers.
Holy smokes.
So obviously you got to be careful when you're...
Yeah, how are you going to tap that out if...
Yeah, I usually get like a dowel and remove a little bit of the center so it doesn't hit the primer and get a clearing barrel.
A special custom-made dowel for, you know, when those times when the round goes all the way in the barrel backwards.
But it's impressive because it's not designed to fit there, so...
Yeah, they had to do some work to get it in there.
They definitely did.
Oh my gosh.
That's one of the weirder ones. I've only seen a couple times, but it's impressive.
Yeah. People will do anything. It's like when you go to an indoor shooting range, a public indoor shooting range, and you look at the ceiling and the walls and the floor right around where people stand, you go, how are there holes right above me? I mean, this is like ND Central here.
For sure. For sure.
Well, so James, you were a gunsmith or are a gunsmith and done a bunch of builds. What kind of stuff do you like to build?
I like to do some Frankenstein builds. Anything that's kind of out of ordinary. Right now I'm working on an AR-9. It's like a Colt lower. So it takes Colt mags, but I'm going to be modifying it to work with a SIG MPX upper. So yeah, I want it to be out there. Once you start building ARs, you only build so many of them. You're like, all right, let's do something else.
Yeah, now we're going to really dork out on some stuff.
So that's the intent. And I like risers. I like to do some night vision shooting. So I'm thinking about putting a carry handle on the MPX upper too.
A carry handle on the MPX upper. What kind of psychopath are you? This is awesome.
It's going to be great.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
So do some night vision courses with it and get a couple good kicks out of it. So
that's amazing. So it'll be, what kind of mags is it going to take?
Colt straight
9mm?
mags. Yep.
Straight mags. Wow. That's cool. So you mostly AR style builds? Is that what you kind of like to do?
Just about anything. I like doing Glocks too, bolt guns, anything I get my hand on. If I see something that really perks my interest, I'm like, oh, I got to do that build, So.
Very cool. Well, you guys mentioned the RPR, and the whole precision rifle thing has really exploded in the last few years. What are you guys hearing? What are you seeing in that world? Where do you think it's going?
That's a good question. I think the RPR is really popular just because price point on those for what you get.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get into that because precision rifles, I'm sure, as you know, can jump into the high $1,000 range.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars really, really easily, especially when you start putting glass that's, several $1,000s on there. But we definitely, we like 3-gun competitions. We like precision rifle competitions, and definitely try to do everything we can to support that.
Yeah. Well, and talking about competitions, that's something that's the competition shooters love to mess with their guns. When we come back, we're going to talk about why they do that and what does it mean for you as a shooter. Franklin Armory is your trusted source for binary trigger systems, quality firearms, and much more. Everything they make is machined in America with American materials by patriots that will always stand for freedom, liberty, and the defense of the Second Amendment. Shop freedom and innovation at franklinarmory.com. Timney Triggers, their Alpha Competition Series for M&P pistols. That's right, a 3-pound pull weight, crisp trigger break, Teflon nickel sear, and safety plunger virtually eliminates friction. I've shot it. It's a sweet trigger, and it's easy to install. Check that out at timneytriggers.com. And Faxon Firearms, family-owned and operated manufacturer, proudly based in Ohio. They started with their patented ARAC 21. It's this hybrid of an AR and an AK, trying to bring the best of both worlds there. But of course, they have their muzzlock muzzle devices, their BCGs, their FX19 handguns, 2 lines of complete rifles. They strive to bring quality and high value to their products. Check them out, faxonfirearms.com. It's so funny because, the competition shooters are, I was going to say the worst about, but, or they're the worst about not letting something be stock.
Right.
Right? And I don't say worse like it's a bad thing necessarily. They're looking for an edge. But, I feel like you go to any kind of match and because they do that, you see more guns not running because they're messing with it. A stock gun typically runs fine. What kind of mods have you guys seen with competition shooters that they're going to try to put this into that, or like for instance, like long range or precision? What can a trigger do for someone, and what types of triggers are you seeing that people seem to be liking?
Well, for precision, I'd say either the Calvin Elite or the R-Hit trigger are very popular because you have very low trigger pull and a short reset. So those are game changers when it comes to long range shooting. You get a lot more accuracy out of it. You're not worrying about that creep, the travel of that trigger.
Yeah.
So. Okay,
but we'll start a fight. Single stage or 2-stage preference?
I'm all about single stage. I like minimal wall. I don't want any creep.
Yeah.
I kind of like the 2-stage, to be honest.
Do you?
Yeah, I just like the take up, kind of lets you know where you're at.
Yeah.
But I can make it work with either one,
My thing is this, like if you shoot a gun enough, you're going to get used to that trigger. And frankly, you could probably get used to a bad trigger too. And if you shot it enough and you kind of know what it's supposed to do, if you don't, and I have the people are like, oh, cool, you get to shoot all the guns. I'm like, it also means I don't have like my gun. It's like always a different gun. Every time I go on a hunt, every time I go to the range. So in that way, the 2-stage gives me a little fudge factor.
I agree.
I kind of have the take up, like, okay, good. I hit a wall, and now I don't know what it's at for the wall. I don't know if it's 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds or whatever, but okay, I'm pretty much there now. So in that way, I kind of like a 2-stage. I think for me, trying to be accurate and have a gun that I shoot a lot, a single stage that's probably 2.5 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark, is a preference for me. But it is to each his own, right? There's not actually like a right answer.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely preference, and that's why we offer so many different options.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more versed in like a tactical kind of AR world, so you kind of get used to manhandling the gun a little bit more.
Mhm.
Obviously, a clean trigger is nice, but in a precision world, you know, all that extra movement and input into the trigger can make a huge difference in your shot placement. So that's why I kind of prefer the 2-stage on the precision gun.
On a precision gun.
Yeah, it just kind of lets you ease into it and feel it out a little bit before it breaks.
Yeah. You ever have people ask you, what do you say to someone if they say, why would I change the trigger? My gun already has a trigger.
I guess it depends on what they're trying to accomplish. You know, if it's just a home defense gun and they haven't found a problem with the trigger, or they don't have enough experience to have found the flaws as far as their shooting level, maybe they don't need a trigger. But once you start shooting and you get a little bit of experience under your belt, you start seeing some of those flaws or things that you'd like to improve. That's probably where we come in, and you can get our advice and recommendations on kind of what the end game is, what you're looking for, and what trigger would be the best fit to help you accomplish that.
Yeah. I mean, you guys probably, what model do you have the most variety in triggers? If someone's going, I don't know if it's a 700 or maybe an AR or something like that, where it's like you have a lot of different choices in a trigger for that particular model.
I'd say the AR, we have a lot of triggers for the AR, but we also have different platforms within the AR variation. But for the Remington 700, I think we have more triggers for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, it's kind of an interesting thing. There's so many already out there, but then there's all the Remington 700 clone companies that are doing things. Another area that's kind of fun is that I've been seeing, and I'm kind of starting to really dig, is all these chassis guns and these short bolt guns. I mean, what trigger, if I said, I'm going to build a short like chassis bolt gun, which is, and you see it coming from different places like SIG and some others that are trying to do that. What trigger would you recommend for someone like that?
I think it depend on what pull weight you want. So I need a little bit more information from you. Yeah, depending if you want a 2-stage, the pull weight you'd want, they can give you.
I think I'd probably want a single stage, and I'd probably want it between 2 and 3, somewhere in that ballpark, 2.5.
I'd probably say either Elite Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, our triggers in that category are kind of, there's a lot of variation. They're kind of defined into single stage and 2-stage. And then from there, they're defined into more hunting or competition oriented.
Gotcha.
And a lot of that is pull weight. So if it's going to be like a lightweight, like a SIG Cross, like a pack gun, you might want a little bit heavier of a trigger, like you said, 2 to 3 pounds, where if you're running a competition trigger, you're trying to get it down to like an 8-ounce trigger so that you just blow on it and it goes off.
Right.
So that's going to kind of dictate where you go. Like our Elite Hunter is more of obviously in the name, the Hunter trigger. So the pull weight's a little bit higher on that, more for safety, and just a little bit more consistency there. But like the hit trigger, it's basically the same idea, but more of a competition-oriented, lower pull weight. So it's a lot of, again, the end game as far as what you're trying to do with it.
What's the pull weight on the hit trigger?
It'll go down to 8 ounces.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is the first time you break 8 ounces, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a surprise for sure.
Oh, it's a surprise for sure. That's one of those where you hand your buddy the gun
Don't tell
you go, hey, I think you might want to dry or fire this first. And then they do, and they go, oh my gosh.
That's exactly my experience. I had a friend that used to work here with us, and he had a Remington 700 with the Timney hit in there, and that's exactly what it was. I couldn't believe.
Yeah. Well, I think for some people who are not used to that, they'll go, that's like dangerous. No, it will not. It's safe. It's still safe. But it's just, you don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready for the gun to go off. And if you're used to a 4-pound trigger, you can kind of mess around on the trigger a lot before you're actually going to make the gun go off. But I mean, that's one of those. But also if you shoot it a lot, if you shoot it a lot, how used to it can you get?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get fairly used to it. So I I purchased a Bergara rifle. The trigger was okay. I started working here. I got a hit trigger for it, and it's night and day difference. I have it down to 8 ounces.
Yeah.
And I have about 1,000 rounds through it, and you do get used to it the more you shoot it. I think every time when I go out shooting, spend about like a month or so if I haven't shot that rifle. Of course, I'll dry fire, get used to that pole, and then I'll go shooting. So I always confirm 0, and within that 0 confirmation, get used to that trigger again, then you go out long range shooting.
Yeah, that's to me a target shooting kind of setup. I fear that if I had that for hunting, I would forget what the pole weight was. You know, you've got, the elk of your dreams out there, and you're jacked. Your heart rate's 150 beats per minute, and you're gonna go boom. Oh crap! But put another one in there. I wasn't ready for that to go off.
For sure, in that competition world, that lower weight. Typically, competitive shooters get a lot more round count as well. A lot more time to get used to it. A lot of, at least my experience growing up hunting is you get it sighted in and then you're good to go. So having a little bit of heavier trigger helps, like you said, especially when you're moving through brush or whatever it may be, like a lot more variables and things that can happen. So
it gives you a fudge factor.
It does.
Yeah, well, and Timney is into the handgun world, so I want to talk more about that right after this. Ruger's LCP Max offers 10+1 rounds in the same footprint as the Ruger LCP2 and still fits in a pocket holster. Pretty unbelievable. They also have an accessory extended magazine that's a 12-round capacity. It's compact, lightweight, it's chambered in .380 auto, and you can find out more at Ruger.com. Silencer Central, they deliver the suppressor right to your door with a simple process that ensures you get the silencer that you're looking for. They make it easy to purchase, from online paperwork to help setting up your trust. And of course, now we have e-forms. They have a variety of suppressors, from the Banish 30, the Ultima 9, or even a 50 cal one. And they have their newest one, the Banish 46, which is great for 4570s and some of those big bore cartridges. You can find out more at silencercentral.com. The STK 100 9mm is the Armscore Rock Island Armory's first striker-fired pistol. It's an aluminum frame. It has a 1911 grip angle, extended beaver tail. This thing is a sweet shooter. 17-round capacity, and now they've updated their optics plate for universal mounts for microdots, and they'll also actually give the current owners of the STK 100 a new sight plate for free. They've lowered the MSRP to $499. You can find out more at armscore.com. So you guys you did the Glock trigger, and you're expanding that. You've got the trigger shoe, more stuff coming, and now the M&P. And I was just shooting the M&P yesterday, and it's impressive. I mean, I love the M&P anyway. I have a lot of time behind that gun. But it's really, that trigger is great. I mean, have you guys shot it?
Yeah, definitely.
That's probably one of my favorite triggers we make right now.
Yeah.
It is such an improvement over the stock trigger.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me, and I don't know if you guys, obviously you guys would talk about it if somebody asked, but Calvin was saying that when you put it into the Performance Center package, same trigger in the Performance Center or on the other one, it's actually a little bit better, a little bit lighter. Is that right?
Yeah, it's slightly lighter from my understanding. I haven't been able to shoot the Performance Center yet, but yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it's impressive. And the MP Performance Center has the over travel built in, so you kind of have that extra little bit. But I mean, I was trying to go fast, and I'm not a competitive shooter. I mean, I shoot often, but I'm not a competitive shooter. But I mean, I went as fast as I could go, it was actually pretty fast because it was a short reset and all that stuff. And I also kept them all on target on this, a little IPSC steel. What are you guys hearing from people on the pistol triggers? Because those are really for competition. That's kind of what they're designed for.
Yeah, they are designed for competition.
What are you hearing from customers?
They love them. It cleans up the trigger a lot. I was never really a fan of the stock M&P trigger. I've always kind of been a Glock guy. Not to be biased. I've shot and sold and fired all kinds of pistols. But when I shot the Timney trigger in the M&P, and I got a chance to shoot one of the beta versions. That actually made me want to buy one. It was that good. I shot a Performance Center 40 cal, and that trigger is just phenomenal. And you can shoot really fast with it. Calvin, our lead engineer, developed that with a lot of input from Dre Mitchelick, who's obviously well known in the shooting world.
He knows a few things about triggers.
He does.
Shooting.
Phenomenal trigger. I've shot a couple different aftermarket ones, and I would put ours up against any of those. And then the Glock trigger as well. The stock Glock trigger, I've gotten used to it over the years. I've never really felt the need personally to upgrade it. Mm-hmm. But our options for it, we have our best, better, best. Our good, better, best.
Right.
And you can get just the shoe, or you can get the whole trigger bar, and then we're going to be coming out with a kind of full kit with the striker and everything.
Yeah.
But it makes a huge difference. It cleans it up a lot, shortens the reset.
So, questions. Does the trigger pull change over time? I mean, if we, whether it's Glock or M&P or whatever, I mean, does it like break in, or is it, once it's in there, is it pretty much going to feel the same now as it will in 1,000 rounds from now?
From my understanding and the feedback we've gotten from our customers, you have a break-in period with any gun, especially triggers, but your trigger pull is going to be consistent. We have one customer, he's like, I have 20,000 rounds to this pistol, and he absolutely loves it.
Really? Yeah. So, I mean, that's not very long. I mean, you're talking about like a Glock?
Yeah.
So it's only been out a year or a little bit more than a year.
Yeah, he shoots a lot of rounds. So
wow.
Competition shooter.
Yeah.
Practices a lot, but...
Same trigger for that whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice torture test.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably more than we did in our beta test, to be
right.
honest.
Yeah. So if you shoot 20,000 rounds a year, Timney would like to hear from you. Okay? We'd like to test you and put you in a little box and see how that works. What other fun guns are you guys playing with these days? I mean, even just personally.
Scorpion platform is really fun.
Yeah.
And that's a really popular one as well for us.
CZ Scorpion.
Sub gun. We got a trigger launching for that. So that's amazing trigger. I don't know if you've had a chance to try it.
I have not shot that one yet.
We should see if we can get you to try one.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's a gun that seems to have a bit of a cult following these days, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And as far as that PCC platform in general, there's a lot of different AR variants out there, but as far as like kind of like a CZ Scorpion, or you get into the HKs, the Scorpion, it's really reliable, eats all kind of ammo, and the price point's really good to get into that.
Yeah.
I think you bang for your buck on the Scorpion. It's hard to beat, but when you try our trigger in it, it's probably one of the best upgrades you can do, and there's a lot of support out there for that gun.
Yeah. How would you describe that trigger? I mean, installation, pull weight, all kind of the specs of the Scorpion trigger.
Sure. It's a really consistent light pull weight, but the reset is super short, and it drops in very similar to an AR. So there's a couple extra steps, easy to drop in. The thing that surprised me most personally was the reset. Super short, quick reset. You can rock and roll with that gun.
Very crisp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, good. Well, guys, thanks for being on with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So if people have questions about triggers, questions about install, whatever, James and Alex will be the ones probably answering it on social media or other places, right?
Pretty much any platform you can think of. So through our website directly, you can call us, or on social media, hit us up and we'll take care of it.
Yes, they're trying to make it easy, so they'll walk you through it. Don't be scared. You can do this. You can install the trigger, upgrade your shooting. All right, guys, thanks for being with us.
Cool.
Thanks for having us.
That's it for us. We will see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.